Well, hello again to all of you fine people. My name is Sam and I welcome you to this episode of Where My News Are, where I'm another year older, but it's another week where I'll be delving into another week of all things, forms of new releases, trailers, and news stories in the world of entertainment media that you may have seen or may have overlooked from the week. So let's not waste too much time in the introduction, let's get to talking all things media for another week.
My money don't jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle, for sure.
The first of the new releases asks you the question that if you were discovered that you were part of a long lineage that's quite wealthy and it kept you from finding out, how would you react? Well, that seems to be the approach of what the first film will entail, as we have the release of the new retelling of a classic novel and film of How to Make a Killing. Now, the film will follow Beckett Redfellow, played by Glenn Powell, who was disowned at birth by his obsessively wealthy family, and when he learns of his fortune amount, he will soon stop at nothing to reclaim that inheritance all to himself, no matter how many relatives get in his way. Now, reception on the new take of the film has been a little mixed to underwhelming reception, with praise in the performances. However, the film is lacking a little in appeal or substance to really leave much of an impression. But if you want to kill your way to a fortune, you can catch this film out now in cinemas. The next of the films for this week is with the focus of the likes of a new take on a novelization from an author whose previous film caused quite an legal woe, shall we say. But in the case of this ordeals that have occurred in the past, how far some will go in terms of a second chance, as we have the release of the all-new film based on the novels of Colleen Hoover's books of Reminders of Him. After a perfect outing with her boyfriend, Kenna, played by Micah Monroe, makes an unbearable mistake and sends her to prison for 7 years. Once released, she plans to rebuild her life and reunite with her daughter, but her custodial grandparents refuse to let her see her, and soon will find some unexpected compassion from a local bar owner as their secret romance gives Kenna hope for a second chance. Now, reception on this book adaptation has been also hit with some mixed reception, and while the performances are well liked, the film is bogged down in a similar tone to Hoover's previous book adaptations, having a very messy outcome and tone. But if you want to see the likes of a second chances for yourself, then you can catch this film also out now in cinemas. In terms of the only documentary based film and focus for the week, we have the focus that we have seen a lot of the type of unexpected form of content we see on the internet that can be very harmful and concerning for many young people, and it will come down to one man with a clear eye and expert craft of answering the tough questions, as Louis Theroux is back to bring his all-new documentary of Inside the Manosphere. With rare access to no holds barred questions, Theroux will investigate the growing ultra-masculine network and its controversial influencers and dig deep into the answers. Reception on this documentary has been decently received, with praise in his deconstruction of this controversial side of the internet and finding some more of the answers and pointing out some of the dangers that are found from the pathway, but maybe a little mixed in terms wise of people saying it's not his best, but still pretty solid. If you want to see this take on the lifestyle, then you can catch this full documentary out now on Netflix. On the basis of the only TV series for the week, it will be time to grab your gear, gather your crew, and prepare to set sail across the vast and open oceans as Luffy and his Straw Hat Gang are back on the high seas adventure for a second time around, as we have the release of the live-action second season of the popular anime of One Piece. The new season will see Luffy and the Straw Hat crew as they embark further on their journey as they enter into the Grand Line, where they will soon encounter new islands, new acquaintances, formidable enemies, and a whole load of legendary secrets. Now, reception on the second season of this anime, similar to season 1, has been very well received, with praise on the cast, visuals, characters, story, and for being a continuing success and appealing form of adapting anime from the original to live action over other versions. If you're all set to set sail off for more adventure, then you can watch the full 2 seasons out now on Netflix. On to the first of the games, and this one is providing a return to a classic title of horror, but more in an updated form of a classic and a fresh coat of paint to the horror that lies within, as for some secret terrors await as with the release of the remake of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Now, based on the title released in 2003, the game will follow sisters Mio and Mayu Amakura as they are trapped in a ghost-filled village caused by a failed ritual which they are forced to reenact, and using a powerful camera will find each other and escape this nightmare. Now, reception on this remake has been very well received, with praise on the faithful retelling of the narrative, the updated visual, scares, and new additions, and for the respect given to a classic in horror. If you want to play it for yourself, it is available to play now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC. And as for our last new release this week, it's time to return to a vast land of powerful creatures, great and small, and all forms of the land and sky, and we'll be seeing some elements changing across vast tales of this land. As after some wait, we have the release of the third entry of the Monster Hunter story series with Twisted Reflection. Now, the game will follow 2 adversarial kingdoms of Azuria and Vermeil as they struggle to survive against an environmental disaster of the Crystal Encroachment. Now, the player will play as the Heir of Azura and team with the Princess of Vermeil as they fight against this sudden environmental disaster with the aid of vast monsties and help resolve relations between the kingdoms. Now, reception on the new entry seemed to be very well received, with praise in the narrative, gameplay, visuals, and could be a case of the appeal of the series that is needed after some mixed criticism of the previous title of Monster Hunter Wilds from last year. If you want to play the latest in the story series, then you can play this now on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC. And with all that regards, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week. we start off the first of the new releases, and it's time to let's go once again, as we have the first of the focus elements of the week and day that was in it of this week. The day to celebrate the mustachio plumber and his time, we get an all new look as we're blasting off into the stars for an all new adventure to the far cosmos with the release of the final trailer for the upcoming sequel and follow up with Super Mario Galaxy movie. Then a new entry will see Mario and Luigi join Princess Peach and Toad on an adventure to the far reaches of space and across the galaxy, where they face off against Bowser's son, Bowser Jr., who's trying to save and free his father from being shrunken and imprisoned, and help rescue Princess Rosalina, the protector of the Lumas, of the Comet Observatory. So if there was a case of one of the most anticipated films of the year, for me has been a focus in mind of the last few weeks, and every single bit of footage and perspective has been appealing to me in every way, from the clips, the galaxies, the use and introduction of Yoshi, who I'm still in disbelief and need to understand how is Donald Glover voicing this character. They confirmed it at this event. And just having that sense of going much bigger in scope into the first entry of the series, and I am so goddamn excited for this. I have faith will live up to expectations to making sure I go day one to this title, as well as attaining not just the one, but two popcorn buckets. I guess it's not too long away from the release, as the adventure will be blasting off into cinemas from April 1st. Speaking of the Green Dinosaur, our second trailer for the week is the only game-focused trailer we have, as it's time for an all-new tale to be written that is found on the page of a strange and sentient ancient textbook, and it will be an adventure like no other, as we have the release of an all-new trailer for the upcoming new game of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. In the game, we'll see you play as the iconic dinosaur as he enters a living encyclopedia where he will search for and interact with all the creatures in the book's pages in order to solve puzzles, complete objectives, and traverse across mysterious levels. So I have to say, the style and tone of the game has been quite the appealing one of this series of games. The character are always so colourful and whimsical to experience, and likes of those strange creatures and worlds to discover is always a highlight. And I will say I'm very much excited to learn more about this story and for finding more of these strange and colourful creatures that is the centre of this trailer, but I'm sure we will find out in due time, as we now have an official release date for this title, as we'll be looking through the pages of the Mysterious Book when it releases on the Switch 2 on the 21st of May. Our third trailer of the week is one that's a bit more of a song and guitar and a sense of a country in its spirit, as we have a new film that will be set in my hometown and country, and have two big stars being a big name in the music scene that may clash with one another after having a chance to redemption for both, as with the release of the trailer for the new film known as Power Ballad. Now the film will follow Rick, played by Paul Rudd, a past his prime wedding singer who comes across fading boy band star Danny, played by Nick Jonas, during a gig where they will soon bond over music and a late night jam session. But when Danny turns one of Rick's songs into a hit that reignites his career, Rick sets out to reclaim the recognition he deserves, even if that means risking everything he cares about. So I remember hearing rumblings about this project since like CinemaCon of last year, and it seemed like it had an interesting case, and I know the director of these films have such a coded form of films set in the streets and immersing in the culture of Ireland, and I'm intrigued to see what these two leads provide the talent. It seems from early reception that has already really worked itself again from his filmography. Even though I tried to get tickets for the premiere at the theater, but the system was not working for me, and it was like, I want to meet Paul Rudd and one of the Jonas brothers. But I'll be interested to check this out when the film releases in the cinemas over here on May 29th, and a week later on June 5th in the States. For our one TV trailer for the week, we have the case that sometimes growing up with some families and relations that are a little normal or dysfunctional can be seen as fine, but sometimes may not be so fair. But in this case, it looks like even if many of them have grown into adults, that it will still have the sense of dysfunctional tone to it all, and that is ever so present with the release of the trailer for the upcoming revival limited series of Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair. Set about 2 decades after the original series ended, Malcolm now lives a happy life with his daughter Leah and girlfriend Tristan, having distanced himself from his family. However, he will soon be forced back into the chaos when his parents Hal and Lois demand his presence for their 40th wedding anniversary party. If I could say anything about this series, is that I think this show really was such an appealing watch and a personal favorite from the mid-2000s, and really gave it appeal with some of the chaos and dynamics of the show, from the goofy to the series, and it had that appeal from the story. I like the approach that the limited series is going in, that I'm sure if the likes of this show or special returns does well, that I feel another form similar to it could work, or maybe a one and done will still just be as appealing. I think in the case, if like they milk it too much, it could be underwhelming, but I'm interested in checking this out, and thankfully it's not too long away from the release either, as the full 4-episode miniseries will be released on the Disney Plus and Hulu from the 10th of April. And our final trailer for this week is bringing the focus and ideas that we have had the opinion and discussion about, wondering, are we alone in the universe, or has these visitors of another planet been living amongst us this entire time? Well, it seems from this new trailer that it may be just that, as the father of the blockbuster of Steven Spielberg is back to provide us a new trailer for his upcoming new sci-fi movie of Disclosure Day. Now, while plot details are somewhat vague, the film will ask the question, if you found out we weren't alone, and if someone showed you and proved it to you, would that frighten? So like this film has quite a lot of layers, and I like the ideas that even with the footage and focus to it all, that the tone is kept mysterious and cryptic, and I like it. And it seems like they have at least fixed the ducking of the music and audio compared to the first trailer where the music was over loud and bombastic, but I'm sure it will be something worth of a spectacle, and I'm intrigued to see the outcome of this new project, and thankfully it's not too far off for the answers. But I guess we'll see what the answers this provides as the day we all be revealed when it releases in the cinemas from June 12th. With all that regards, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
I'm Luigi, number one.
So really kind of a hodgepodge this week, but we're going to separate them into different stories. And our first selection is in the focus of the realm of some updates, changes, and announcements to some projects that seem to have come to us from the last week of media. So let's delve and see where it all starts. And we go with a bit of a flux of some new projects and some scrapped ones. And the first will be the focus side of the ever-changing side of the live-action projects from Disney. And it seems there is another one that may be looking unlikely to see the light of day. As was announced late last week that the planned live-action take on Robin Hood has been scrapped at Disney. Now, it's unclear why it was scrapped, but I see the case of it coming down to the likes of the media as of late has been given plenty of takes on the famous Bandit and his merry men. Maybe the case of making a film based on the more anthropomorphic animals may be a bit too much to develop. Quite the case as well that it was not even planned for a theatrical release as it was set for a Disney Plus project instead, but I guess this is just going to got too big to fully realize and got the chopping block alongside the live action adaptations of the Aristocats with Questlove, a theatrical release of Hunchback of Notre Dame, and even one I think apparently I read Bambi was also canned, so who knows that case. Now where this will suddenly have a return in the future right now is unclear, but once I hear anything about this I'll provide that in a later episode if it does get revived. But when one live action project is shelved, another new concept will take its place, and in this instance it's looking more in the direction of a series rather than a film. As announced, they have planned a live action series based on the character of Tinkerbell for Disney Plus. Now the concept this has been in development for around a decade now at this point, the project being initially announced in 2015 with Reese Witherspoon in focus before it was retooled in 2021, and then the likes of a take on the live action Tinkerbell was already seen recently in 2023 with Blackish star Yara Shahadi portraying the character in Peter Pan and Wendy. So whether this will see her portray the character again in this series is kind of unknown. Now likely I see this being based on the series of anime films that released over the late 2000s and early 2010s, like the cinema released the first two and then the straight to DVD sequels came afterwards, and could expand on a little more with however long the series is established for, but I guess we'll see as the series goes full steam ahead. And they'll be casting a new take on the character or bringing back the actors already seen before, but once I hear anything else about this series, I'll provide that in a later episode as well. Now for one more series I had seen the likes of potential, one that many were excited for, but it looks like that hope has been dashed as well. As on Friday of last week, it was announced that the planned sequel series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is no longer going ahead at Hulu. Now, it's unclear as to why it was suddenly cancelled when it was original cast all back and ready to go, but according to sources, it apparently was due to the series feeling a bit too young in terms of the narrative, as it focused too much on a new Slayer, which then saw a rewrite for a more darker tone and bringing more of a presence for Buffy, but still didn't really help in that regards. Now, it's a shame as I felt this would have really worked in giving some love to the series and bringing more of a new fans from this to find the original, and will to this day take this over the disaster of why I don't understand why All's Fair is getting a second season, yet this is getting cancelled. But similar to how it happened with Lizzie McGuire's new sequel series a few years ago, it really seems like it will be a rough journey ahead. I guess we will say in the future, but once I hear anything about this as well, I'll provide this as well in a later episode. On the like there's some gaming news on the side of project announcements, it seems in the case of things that we're about to fall down the rabbit hole once again, and things are getting a little bit mad, as it was reported that developer American McGee is coming out of retirement to create a third title or another game in the Alice series after the original and Madness Returns. Now while not a full sequel to the series, it is a form of a spin-off but spiritual connection to the original games with a focus to his Plushy Dreadful series, and will have some times the games, and I'd be intrigued to see the outcome of the project. Now I feel this series has been slept on. I know that there's talks for a while that this series was not happening with a third game because of the messiness that EA has caused with this series, but it's EA, what are we expecting here? They did the same thing with Oddworld. But it seems the project works well, then I hope we see a third proper Alice game and even a remake of the first two titles in the form of a future, but I guess we will see in due time. If any updates on when we can expect this title, of course we'll find later on. For the one film project that's in focus of the week, and the case of things with the reported focus outcome to it, it seems that an iconic and powerful warrior may be returning and has a bit more of an older and wiser tone to it all, and ready to defend his land with all of his strength and might. As it's been reported, a new film based on Conan the Barbarian, in this case of King Conan, may be in the works, and reported seeing Mission Impossible director Christopher McQuarrie take the helm directing side, and seeing the original Barbarian of Arnie himself coming back as an older, wiser Conan. And the idea of it on paper doesn't sound too bad, and I'm sure it could work properly if given the right level of violence and prowess the original had, but updated to the modern filming techniques series would be quite interesting. And to be fair, it has been quite a while since a project based on the Barbarian has had a presence in the film, so I will be interested in the outcomes of this project. Now at the moment, it's in early days of the concept, but if I hear any news about this, I will talk on it in a later episode as well. And then the last of the project announcements has seen the case today that all you see really is violence, movies, and sex on TV. And many have wondered of where are all those good old-fashioned values that many people used to rely. Well, it seems the project will be coming with all of this and from the mind of an intelligent individual who's still a toddler, as reported that a all-new spin-off based on the animated series of Family Guy is in the works and will be focused on Stewie, with a 2-season order already being made. Now the focus of the series will see the youngest Griffin member being kicked out of his previous preschool and end up in a new but overly strange new location with some odd forms of students that are as miserable as him. That is until he begins to experiment and head on adventures across space and time to liven up the school days for him and his classmates. Now essentially what it sounds like is a more adult animated version of the Magic School Bus, but I'm sure it could be interesting. But I guess we can find out about it as it develops in the first footage is shown. Now at the moment it seems to be aiming for a 2027-28 fall window as the premiere, but likely would line up with other 4 big shows such as Family Guy, American Dad, Bob's Burgers, and The Simpsons, with their renewals lining up once the 2-season show concludes, and could continue to a 3rd season if it does well. At the moment I guess we'll see if it will come about it, but if anything new comes along with this, I'll provide as well in a later episode. But what do you make of these project announcements? Do you feel that the Robin Hood live action film could have worked? Will you check out the Tinkerbell series? Do you see the Buffy sequel series still happening, or is it just a lost cause? Will you try that new American McGee game? And do you see the original Alice games return in some remake or sequel? What are your thoughts on the King Conan film? And do you think a Family Guy spin-off with Stewie will work, or will end up like the Cleveland show and appeal? Let me know what you think down below. Now for the second story of the weekend, in this case it could fit into both release dates and on new project announcements, but in the case we'll be focusing on some more new big project unveilings for the world of the popular building brand of Lego, as we have some new project unveiling, some rumored sets, official reveals, and some new updates to established sets and themes. But we can get to that focus now with the reveal of what the Danish studio has to offer. And we'll start with the set that one I've been anticipating to be fully revealed, and after being teased about 2 months ago, it was expected that it was going to be a little bit of time before the mustachioed plumber would have some competition, and that would come with his tall green brother, as he officially unveiled the follow-up to last year's Mario Kart large build with the Luigi and Mach 8 build. Now this set is not going to be the same old car with a green coat of paint, but rather is based on the iconic car driven by the taller bro, and also gave us the iconic Death Star meme from Mario Kart 8, and the colour and tone really appeals overall. Now the set was finally unveiled with a price and release date, with the set releasing on the same day as the Galaxy movie on April 1st, and will cost just a little bit extra €180, which is only about an extra tenner, so it's manageable. More likely I'll be aiming to get this and making a follow-up to the first time-lapse video, or maybe a full build stream, and maybe Lego could see if they could send it over and promote the hell out of it. Please, Lego, would be a dream to be sponsored by you. No. But I know I'll find a spot for it and eventually purchase it in a few days or some time after, but we'll see how that goes. It is, however, not the only bit of Mario Lego news we have, as an all-new form is coming to the world of this range, and one that many have been clamoring for years, as after the theme has been around for about 5 years now, Nintendo and Lego are finally giving us the official proper minifigure build for the Mario characters, with them unveiling the official first look at the Mario figure. I must say he looks proper solid, and it's confirmed there's a few others on the way, with Luigi, Peach, and Toad on the way, and a confirmation that Bowser will get his own big fig character as well in the future, so it does sound appealing. Now, many have been demanding for proper versions like this character, as many have had their mixed opinions on the Bluetooth-based blocky versions of the characters that have been around for a while, so seeing them in proper form will be an appeal to see, and it will work the sets around them more for their size, and likely they'll probably use like Smart Brick or something for the sounds instead. Now, it's not out for some time until at least sometime next year, like the start of the year, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of when they are in due time and update on them when they do make an appearance and what the sets will look like. Now, this next set I've mentioned a fair few times over the last few weeks, and I've mentioned about this brand and I was wondering if you'll ever see the proper look at this new set. Well, it looks like we are preparing to launch and time to blast off to adventure and mystery, as we have finally gotten the unveiling of the set based on the classic books of the Adventures of Tintin, with the rocket set based on the books of Destination Moon and Explorers of the Moon with the iconic rocket ship. It's such a unique style that looks like it's a rubber hose tone. I really like that they worked closely with the estate that owns the book license of the author's work, and I really like the tone and aesthetic that came out with this design. And the set is also confirmed to be coming in with 6 figures, with Tintin and a special new mold for the iconic hairpiece, an all new mold for Snowy, Captain Haddock, Dr. Calculus, and of course the detectives of Thompson and Thompson. I'll be coming in for a price of €160 and will be releasing on April 1st as well, which I see as a modest deal for a particular instance. Now, I do hope that if this is one of success, that we will see a few more sets to come from the series, especially see a large build version of the Unicorn ship with Haddock's ancestors in the epic battle against Red Rackham, but I guess we'll have to see how this project will entail. Hopefully we will see this in the future, but I'll be definitely checking this out when they do release it in a fair few days time. And lastly, for the sets in focus and unveiled, this one has been in the works to be released for about 65 million years. give or take. As we have two new sets based on the world of Jurassic Park. And the first one he had is a focus of a new build for the Triceratops, like the skeletal remains, like we had the T-Rex last year. We have new Triceratops coming later. But in the case of the big focus, the unveiling of an all-new large build Jeep Wrangler from the original trilogy. Now this set will come with the original design from the 1993 film and also include a minifigure of Dennis Nedry, and I believe the dinosaur that has him suffer a grim demise, which is similar to the Triceratops with its own minifigure as well. Now the only thing with this one is that the sets do not have a set price nor release date as of yet. Initially I thought I saw a release for mid-May, but maybe I was looking at a different set entirely, but maybe it could still be that window. But either way, I like the design, and I read that it can be altered design from one of the 3 original films, and I'm sure it'll be well worth a build from its release in due time, but I hear any updates on when we expect them, I'm providing a later episode. But what are your thoughts on these sets? Will you be getting the Mach-E and the other characters? Do you hope to get large build sets? Are you happy with the new Mario minifigures, or do you like the original blocky form? Will you be picking up the Tintin set, and what other elements from the series or books would you like to see the sets based on? And will you be picking up either of these Jurassic Park sets when they release? Let me know what you think down below in the comments if we talk about them there. And for the final focus of the night is more in the realm of the focus of the ideals of some new casting announcements and some release dates that have been set for some new projects or other forms of entertainment in the future, but let's delve into what was shown to look forward to. And we started the casting that has been rumbling for a few weeks now, and many have been fan casting hoping for this to happen. And in the case, we're talking about the live action Disney remakes for a third time this week. But we are now having some official confirmation that after much speculation, they finally announced that Kathryn Hahn has been officially cast as Mother Gothel for the live action remake of Tangled. Now she made the announcement on her Instagram wearing one of those cool mock-up shirts of the character the outfit fit for the day. I love the approach he does with these role announcements, and I feel it makes the most sense with this overall. And personally, if there was a character that would fit the role, it was her. Now, the case of things like this, it makes me think is they're probably far ahead in the likes of the casting and production. I'm sure they might be well into production on this film real soon. It could be the next movie confirmed after the Moana movie, but nothing has been made confirmed as of yet. But either way, the cast choice is solid. I'm sure we will start to see production shortly or something, but if anything new comes about it, I'll provide in a later episode. For the focus of the second casting this week is one that I believe many have forgotten from the previous week, but we have some news of casting another video game adaptation in focus, but this is one that has not been a major focal as of late, but it's one about some growing pains, friendship, some time manipulation, and moral choices, as we've been given some casting news in relation to an all-new TV adaptation based on the game of Life is Strange, with the title confirmed to have found its leads with my old ass star Maisie Stella cast as Max Caulfield, and Queen of Versailles actress Tatum Grace Hopkins as Chloe Page. Now, I'm glad in the case that more than anything, I'm very happy this pairs more smaller unknown actors instead of the usual fare of getting big names for the roles. So this appeals to me more than the likes of casting for the game. Now, I do wonder if this will have much of a focus in connection to the full series of games or just the original game, and if they'll add in that upcoming epilogue that I think is releasing at the end of this month for the focus of the series, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of things in due time. Now, at the moment, there is no report as to when we can see this project's release, but any updates you get providing in a later episode. And as for one final story and the only focus of some new release date news, things will be getting, how they say, a bit more swifty for more multiversal adventures, as it was confirmed this week that the 9th season of Rick and Morty will be set for release on May 24th. Now, in its case, I'm unsure of how much longer this series there is planned, as they mentioned about the ordeal a little while ago, and some of this stuff could be sometimes a little mixed in its outcome. I mean, especially if I can think it was like season 5 or 6, where a lot of the stories were being focused to the very interpersonal relationships with family members. But I still watch them when they do come around, and hopefully it will find its place to come to an end and find a decent conclusion overall. But I guess we will see the likes of what other misadventures will be taking place with this dysfunctional pair and the other members of this family. But what do you think of these stories? Do you think having Han as a solid choice for Gothel, or who would you have chosen instead? What are your opinions on the casting for the Life is Strange series, and who else do you think could join the series, and who will be checking out the new season of Rick and Morty when it does release? Let me know what you think of all this down below in the comments, and with all that regards, that's all the new news stories that we have for this week.
I got a knack to relax in my mind, sipping some red wine.
And now, in case with all of that now, after all the discussion, that ends episode 147 of Weird Mind Newsroom. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings for another week. Now, I'm gonna just fly through these updates kind of thing, you know, the gist of stuff. So, in case reviews wise, I'm still working away on them as regards. Probably likely the case the first one's coming is Last of Us, or maybe some Snacks Nice Boxes ones. I have the Muppets ready to go. I need to get just do some quick editing and stuff like that. Yeah, those ones come along as well. I think the case in the moment, I have a few other shorts that I'm going to release, which is, you may have noticed that I didn't have an Oscar a predictions video this year is because the case I was so busy with other stuff that I didn't have much time to do it. So what I did during the week was, because I knew wasn't running out of time, I made a quick fire summary predictions of the Oscar stuff. So I'll have them out before I do the next Weird Mind episode and see in case how much of it I was accurate stuff. Case of gameplay stuff, you may have noticed I uploaded one of my streams of the Resident Evil. You may notice it's the first one where it's like I'm about 2 hours into Requiem. It's a case the first part didn't record. I thought in case I had the stream things where just like instantly would just go like, you know, it would be able to obtain, but I must have forgotten to realize that you had to like set it yourself. So basically just missed the first 2 hours, but I will probably upload the rest of the series. I think I'm close to the conclusion. I'll probably be recording that probably some point during the week or something, but look forward to that regards of things. But I'll upload the DK Bonanza stuff, Star Wars Outlaws, and a few other bits and pieces, and then figure out what the next streaming game, which is I think could be Hollow Knight or it could be one of the other Resident Evil titles, but we'll see in this regards. In the case of some long form stuff, AI's Choice videos coming, the Rewatchathon is coming, the other various Horror Most Board, Spain Media, they're all still going to come along eventually, so look forward to those in this regard, and yeah, just look forward in the case of things. But with that now, I'm going to end the episode there for now. So if you like what you see or like to see and want to see more from me, simply like and subscribe. So all this stuff every single week. Aiming for about 750 to 1,000 subs on here, and maybe just leaving it to affiliate on Twitch. So any support on both ends here will be appreciated in that regards. If you want to save yourself 10% on Pure Crack, use my code Sam Harrison. That's all one word in all caps. Down below in the description, get yourself a tasty beverage. Let me know your thoughts on everything discussed this week from the releases, trailers, and news stories that we have from this weekend. If there's anything I missed, let me know down below as well. I'll try and put them in for later episodes. Well, in this regards now, I think I'll leave the episode there for now. So as always, you all stay wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things, and keeping you because no one else can do what you do. Now, I've been your host, Sam, of course. I'll see you all in the next one. So take care. I'll see you later.